Hey guys, welcome back to releasethecraftin. Priscilla here with another episode of Storycraft. And you guys, today, of course, I've been on a Grimm Brothers kick, and I've been digging in the weirder stories from Grimm's Brothers, so that's what we're doing right now, and I'm continuing that trend. So we're doing the 3 spinning women today. That's the story we're telling. And real quick, right off the top, before we jump into it, I just want to say, if you haven't seen it already, I'm starting a new challenge, July 22nd of 2024, in case you are watching this in the future. There's an announcement video, there's a prompt list, it's all on my page, so you can check out my channel, you can check out my blog, you can check out all the things, I posted it everywhere, so all the information you need is there. I hope that you guys will join me. It's just a little tiny mini challenge, so I think it'll be fun. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, because that's business. So now that we're done with business, let's get to the story. So the story is The 3 Spinning Women, and the reason I picked this story will become very apparent probably around the last 2 minutes of it, so we're just going to jump into it. But this is another Grimm's Brothers story, which means that it comes to us from the general region of Germany, so that's where we are. If there's a story from the Grimm's Brothers that you would like to hear, since I'm doing them, now would be the time to request it. But also, if you have any other requests, feel free to leave those in the comments below, because I would love to tell your story for you on this segment. So here we go. So, of course, our story begins where all the great stories begin, in the way, way long ago. And there was a girl who isn't named in the story, but I'm going to call her Jordan because I don't want to keep calling her girl. So Jordan is just a regular, average girl, except that she's hella lazy. She's super lazy, guys. She doesn't want to do shit. And honestly, same. I feel it. I feel it in my soul. And essentially, you know, she's living with her mom. Her mom's a single parent, and her mom is just trying to get her to contribute and help out around the house and help with the business. And the business is spinning flax into thread. And all day, every day, her mom is spinning flax into thread, and she's telling Jordan, you need to spin with me, you need to help, you need to do this. And Jordan's like, nah, that's not the life for me. I don't want to do that. I don't even like doing that. In fact, I don't even know how to do that. I know you've shown me like a billion times, but I have no earthly concept of how to spin. Therefore, ergo, I shall not be spinning at any point in time, ever, as a matter of fact. And so the days go by every day. Jordan and her mom are arguing back and forth about how Jordan is lazy and ungrateful and not really helping out around the house, and she's not helping with the business, and she needs to spin. And Jordan's like, nah, I'm not about that life. And they're doing this day after day after day, until one day the queen comes by in her carriage, and she hears them both like arguing inside of the house. And so she orders the carriage to stop, and she goes up to the door, and when the mother answers it, she's like, oh my god, it's the queen. And the queen's like, oh my god, what's happening in this house? Because I can hear it out on the road. So then this poor mom, okay, you guys, look, she's at the end of her rope, alright, with Jordan. She's really over it. She's really done. So she looks at the queen, and she sees opportunity, and she goes, oh, Your Grace, I have to tell you this. I've just been really struggling because my daughter, all she wants to do is spin. She spins morning, noon, and night. She doesn't do anything else but spin. She loves to spin so much that this is her entire life. And I just want her to do other things, like take a break or relax, sit around the house and eat some snacks, but she won't do it, Your Grace. All she will do is spin and spin and spin. And now the queen is listening to this, and she goes, what a peculiar problem. As a matter of fact, I really like when people are industrious like this, especially when they're young people. I know how to solve this problem for you. I'll take the girl off your hands. She can come with me to the palace, and there she can spin to her heart's delight. And so the mom is like, sold, even though you didn't offer me any money. Take this kid and go. So she packs up Jordan's stuff and she ships her off with the queen. And the queen, the whole carriage ride there, is telling her about all the flax she has. She has rooms upon rooms of flax that she needs spun into very fine, very delicate thread for all of her beautiful fancy clothes and her fancy dresses. And she is just so excited that she's finally going to have someone there in her home to spin the thread. So when they get to the palace, Jordan's already like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, my mom just set me here. Like, this is unbelievable. But when they get to the palace, the queen shows her the 3 rooms full of flax. And you guys, they are wall to wall full of flax waiting to be spun into thread. And she's just like, oh my god, I hate spinning so much. I don't even know how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to tell the queen that my mom sold her a dud? And the queen's like, you know what? I'm so excited. I just appreciate hardworking women. I appreciate women in business. I really appreciate, like, just the idea that you are this, like, dedicated to the craft, that if you manage to spin all 3 of these rooms into the finest thread, I'll let you marry my son. I don't even care about the status of your birth. You can marry my son and become the queen one day if you are able to spin all of these rooms just for me. Because I just think that's the greatest. And at this point, Jordan's like scratching her head, you guys. She's like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? Like, I don't even know how this is going to play out. And she's staring at the queen being like, you're so desperate for thread that you're going to sell your son for some thread? Like, oh my gosh. So the queen's like, here you go. Here's the 3 rooms of flax. Here's a spinning wheel. Here's all the stuff. And then here's a room for you. Knock yourself out. Let me know when you're finished. I'll come check on you in a little bit. And so Jordan decides, since she doesn't know what to do, and she doesn't actually know how to spin, because, yeah, it never actually stuck, all the lessons her mother gave her, she decides to lay in bed for 3 days. And, just lay there in misery and wallow at her bad fortune because she doesn't know how she's going to pull off this task. She doesn't even really want to marry the prince, to be honest. She just doesn't want to have to spin, which is fair. And so after 3 days, the queen comes back. She comes to check on her progress. She sees that there is nothing spun. So she's like, Jordan, darling, dear, what the actual fuck? And so Jordan tells her, she goes, yeah, actually, you see, your grace, you see what was happening was, at this point the queen cuts her off and she goes, I thought you were spinning for me. How come you're not spinning? All I want is for you to spin beautiful thread just for me. It's been 3 days, you haven't spun one thing. And at this point now Jordan is panicking. She's like, oh my god, okay, I'm so sorry, your grace. I'm actually just so bereft at being torn away from my mother. I miss her so much. I miss her with every fiber of my being that I couldn't possibly bring myself to spin for you because I just miss my mommy so much. In fact, I think maybe I should go see her. I think you should let me go see her, and that would really cure what ails me. And the queen's like, pish tosh, I understand. I get it. It's water in the bucket, water under the bridge, whatever the heck that saying is. She goes, you'll just start spinning for me tomorrow. 3 days is plenty of time to mourn being away from your mother. After that, you'll get over it. So start spinning tomorrow. And I expect you to spin. And I will be checking your progress tomorrow. So do with that what you will. And the queen dismisses herself, and now Jordan is really panicking because she's like, oh shit, I thought she was gonna let me go visit and miss my mom. But it doesn't work. So all alone in her room, once again lamenting her misfortunes, Jordan peers out the window, and outside of the window, you guys, she happens to see 3 old women. And she sees them, and she kind of cocks her head to the side because there's something a little bit unusual about these 3 women. One of them has a very broad, very wide foot, like an extra super wide foot, way bigger than her other foot. And one of them has a lip that is so big, like her bottom lip, so big that it hangs below her chin. And then there is the 3rd woman, also elderly, who has a giant thumb. A giant, like, leathery looking thumb. And she's like, what the heck is that? What's going on over there? But then she remembers that she has bigger fish to fry, and she starts crying in earnest because she doesn't know how she's going to accomplish this task. And these 3 women, they hear her crying, and they're like, hey, girl, what's up? Like, what's going on? And so Jordan tells them the entire story, every detail. She does not leave anything out. They hear this, and they go, oh, well, you're in luck. We happen to be masters of the craft of spinning and would be delighted to help you achieve this task. We just ask for one thing in return. And Jordan's like, anything, I promise, anything. And they say, oh, well, just invite us to your wedding. And, you know, don't be ashamed of us. And, you know, call us your aunts. Let us sit at the table with you. And we'll spin all the flax for you in, like, the fastest time ever. You won't even believe how fast we can spin. And Jordan's like, done. Deal. Absolutely, yes. You're invited to the wedding. You're now my aunts. And you're going to sit at the table. You're going to sit right next to me at that table. If you can spin this for me, we're besties from this day on. And so the women come up there, and they take their turns spinning. One woman, the one with the large foot, she takes the thread, and she pedals the little wheel on the spinning wheel. And the second one, with the big old lip, she moistens the thread with her big old lip. And then the third one, with her big old thumb, uses that thumb to twist it, and then when she strikes the table with her thumb, a skein of the most finely spun fiber, like fine thread, appears, and it falls on the floor. And they keep doing this, and they do this quickly, you guys. They finish the one room in one day, and when the queen comes there at night, she sees all the bundles of thread, and she's like, wow, okay, all right. I knew this was a good investment. And so she leaves, happy and content. And the second day, the women spin. And then the third day, they spin the third room. And by then, everything has been cleaned out. They spun all of that flax into thread. And when Jordan shows the queen the rooms, the queen's like, great, let's get you married immediately at once. And, you know, the king, or the prince at this point, not the king yet, the prince is like super stoked for this marriage because all he's heard is about how hardworking and diligent this girl is, and he's like, I'm also into that. My mom and I have the same kink, and that's interesting. So they get married, and at the wedding feast, Jordan tells her new husband, she goes, hey, I have 3 aunts. They're super nice. They're super cool. They're amazing women, and they've been absolutely beneficial and, like, crucial to my development in life. I would not be here without them. And they need to come to the wedding, and they need to sit with us at the table. And, in fact, they need to sit right next to me at the table. And the prince is like, yeah, of course, totally, yeah, your aunts are my aunts. I'm down for it. And so they sit at the feast. The aunts show up. They sit down right next to the prince and the princess now at the table. And while they're there, the prince is looking at them, and he's looking at the big foot, and he's looking at the big lip, and he's looking at the big thumb, and he's like, what the heck is this? So he goes to the first aunt, and he goes, where did you get such a big old foot? And she goes, oh, from pedaling when I spin. And he's like, oh gosh, okay, all right. And then he asks the second one, he goes, where did you get such a big old lip? And she goes, oh, from licking the thread when I spin. And he's like, oh God, okay. Then he goes and he asks the third one, he says, where did you get such a big old thumb? And she goes, oh, from twisting the thread when I spin. And the prince sits back down in his seat, and he looks at Jordan, he looks at his mother, and he announces, my bride, from this day forward, shall never touch a spinning wheel again as long as she lives. And with this proclamation, you guys, Jordan never had to spin again a day in her life. She got to settle in as princess and eventually queen of the land, all thanks to the 3 spinning women. And if that's not a story about failing upwards, you guys, I don't know what is, okay? Because somehow, despite all of the odds, Jordan managed to come through in the end by just inviting some old women to her wedding. And she didn't have to work another day in her life. And honestly, if that's not goals, I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to put this out here right now. If anyone wants to help me achieve my dreams, you're absolutely invited to my wedding. You can sit next to me, and just make sure that my future spouse knows that I don't have to work ever again another day in my life. Because what the heck? But also, this story, while being delightfully silly, also irritates the shit out of me. Because these poor women... These poor, like, hard-working, working class women are absolutely being made fun of for having these, like, slight defects from working so goddamn hard. and they absolutely get made fun of for it in the story. And the prince is like, oh my god, you guys are so ugly, I can never let this happen to my beautiful wife ever again, so therefore ergo she can't work like you guys, otherwise she's gonna end up a total uggo. And I hate that in my soul, and I just wanted to like enjoy this story when I read it, but then that little bit of like radical feminism came through. It was like, this story is actually making fun of older women who might have some sort of callus or growth or defect from having to work very hard their entire lives. But also, it just seems like a mean-spirited poke at these women who are just hardworking. They could have just been regular old women. But I guess, for the joke of this story, they couldn't just be old women. And I'm just really, like, being pedantic and reading into it with 2024 vision, I think. But I do like this story. I do think it's a cute story. I think it's very silly. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. That is going to be all for me for today, for now. I will catch you guys all in the next one. Make sure that you tune in next week for Goblin Mode, the challenge. Make sure you check out the hashtag, the announcement, everything, all the videos. It's coming your way, and I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate your faces, and I will catch you all in the next one. Till then, happy crafting, guys. Bye.